Welcome to the sixth video lecture of Unit 2 of subject Electronic Devices KEC 301. Mobility is an important parameter to determine the conductivity of material. Mobility defines that how easily the charge carrier can move through the material. So mobility of PMOS is defined as mu p is equal to E tau Cp divided by m star p, and mobility of n, that is negative charge carrier or electrons, is defined as mu n is equal to E tau Cn divided by mn star, where E is the electronic charge, Mp star and Mn star are the effective masses of holes and electrons respectively. Tau is the mean time between collision. So tau Cp stand for mean time between collision of holes, and tau Cn is the mean time between collision of electron. If tau is equal to 10 raised to the power 15 seconds, in average, every 10 raised to the power minus 15 seconds carrier involved in collision due to scattering. So the main some mechanism are there that affect the mobility of the charge carrier. So the two dominant scattering mechanism that affect the mobility are phonon or lattice scattering, and the second one is ionized scattering. So the mechanism that affect the mobility are two type of scattering. So first discussing the lattice scattering. In lattice scattering, a carrier moving through the crystal is scattered by a vibration of the lattice resulting from the temperature. The frequency of such scattering events increases as the temperature increases. Since the thermal agitation of the lattice becomes greater, therefore the mobility should be decreasing. So we should expect the mobility to decrease as the sample is being heated. Means when the sample temperature is being increased, then the mobility should decrease due to the lattice scattering. So the mobility that is defined by lattice scattering is proportional to the temperature raised to the power minus 3 by 2. So as the temperature decreases, the probability of scattering event decreases, thus mobility increases. The second phenomena of scattering that affects the mobility is ionized ion scattering. Scattering from crystal defects such as ionized impurities become the dominant mechanism at low temperatures. Since the atoms of the cooler lattice are less agitated, lattice scattering is less important. However, the thermal motion of carriers is also slower. Since a slowly moving carrier is likely to be scattered more strongly by an interaction with a charged ion than is a carrier with greater momentum, impurity scattering event causes a decrease in mobility with decreasing temperature. So the effect of mobility variation with temperature is proportional to T raised to the power 3 by 2 when the mobility is being affected by ionized ion scattering. Means if the temperature increases, the random thermal velocity of a carrier increases. reducing the time the carrier spends in the vicinity of the ionized impurity center. This causes the scattering effect decreases, the mobility increases. If the number of ionized impurity centers increases, then the probability of a carrier encountering an ionized impurity center increases, and thus it reduces the mobility. So the net mobility that we can write as 1 upon mu is equal to 1 upon mu L plus 1 upon mu I. Mu L is the mobility affected due to the phonon scattering. Mu I is due to the ion scattering. The graph that is drawn between temperature in Kelvin and the mobility. So this graph is showing the approximate temperature dependence of mobility with both lattice and impurity scattering. So here due to the impurity scattering, the mobility is increasing as the temperature is increasing, but due to the lattice scattering, the mobility is decreasing with the increasing temperature. Now, what is conductivity and how it is affected? Drift current we have calculated. So the expression for this drift current density that we have found is E mu n into n plus mu p into p multiplied by E, where E is the electric field, mu n and mu p are the mobility of electrons and holes respectively. So this term, if we take equal to sigma, so this we can write sigma into E, where sigma defines the conductivity in ohm centimeter inverse. So this conductivity is equal to E mu n into n plus mu p into p, function of electron and hole concentrations and mobilities. So rho, that is the resistivity, is in ohm centimeter. Rho is inverse of resistivity is inverse of conductivity. So we can write resistivity as 1 by sigma is equal to 1 by E mu n into n plus mu p into p. Conductivity defines that the ability of any material to conduct the current, and resistivity is the property of material that defines the ability of material to resist the flow of current through it. This graph is drawn between impurity concentration and resistivity on y-axis. So as the impurity concentration is increasing, resistivity is decreasing. So this graph is for p-type and n-type material. The second graph is same between impurity concentration and resistivity for different material, that is gallium arsenide, germanium, and some other materials. We have the decreasing resistivity with increasing impurity concentration. So let's see the Ohm's law for semiconductor. We have a bar of semiconductor with length L. Cross-sectional area is A. Voltage applied across this bar is V. And due to that, a current that is flowing through the bar is I. So current density we can define as J is equal to I by A, and electric field we know is the ratio of voltage upon length. Current density that we have calculated in our previous derivations, J is equal to sigma E. So comparing these two expressions, we can write I by A comparing equation number 1 and 2, we can write I by A is equal to sigma V by L, that is coming from equation number 3. So simplifying this, we get V is equal to L upon sigma A multiplied by I is equal to rho L upon A multiplied by I is equal to IR. So in that way, we have got the expression V is equal to IR, that is the Ohm's law. So if I write V is equal to rho L upon A multiplied by I, where rho L upon A is R, so this defines the Ohm's law for semiconductor. Consider p-type semiconductor with an acceptor doping Na Nd is equal to 0, in which Na is very greater than Ni. So sigma, that conductivity, we can write as sigma is equal to E mu n into n plus mu p into p, that will be nearly equal to E mu n into p. Assume complete ionization. Sigma is nearly equal to E mu n into Na, and that will be nearly equal to 1 upon rho. That is the resistivity inverse of that conductivity. That is the function of majority carriers. So this is one example to understand this concept. Consider compensated N-type silicon at T is equal to 300 Kelvin with a conductivity of sigma is equal to 16 ohm centimeter inverse and an acceptor doping concentration of 10 raised to the power 17 per centimeter cube. Determine the donor concentration and electron mobility. At 300 Kelvin, we can assume complete ionization, that is Nd minus Na is very greater than Ni. So sigma we can use as the previous discussion, sigma is equal to E mu n into n is equal to E mu n Nd minus Na. So value of sigma, that is given as 16 ohm centimeter inverse. So putting that value, E, that is charge on electron, we know that is 1.6 into 10 raised to the power 19 mu n Nd, and acceptor concentration, doping concentration is given as 10 raised to the power 17. So determine the mu n and Nd, we can use the mobility versus impurity concentration figures with trial of errors. So 10 raised to the power 20 is equal to mu n Nd minus 10 raised to the power 17. So if Nd is 2 raised to the power 17 per centimeter cube, we will find the value as 3 into 10 raised to the power 17. If we take Nd as 5 raised to the power 17 centimeter minus 3, so impurity concentration Ni will be Nd plus Na minus, so we get the value 6 into 10 raised to the power 17. So for Nd 3.5 into 10 raised to the power 17 per centimeter cube, mu n is 400 centimeter square per volt second, and sigma, that is conductivity, given in the question, 16 ohm centimeter inverse. Another example, a silicon semiconductor at T is equal to 300 Kelvin is initially doped with a donor at a concentration of Nd is equal to 5 raised to the 5 into 10 raised to the power 15 per centimeter cube. Acceptors are to be added to form a compensated p-type material. The resistors is to have a resistance of 10 kilo ohm and handle a current density of 50 ampere per centimeter square when 5 volts is applied. So when how we can solve this? When 5 volts is applied to 10 kilo ohm resistor, the current I, that is V is equal to IR. From that formula we have this I is equal to V by R is equal to 5 by 10 raised to the power 4, comes out to be 0.5 milliampere. if the current density J is limited to 50 ampere per centimeter square, the cross-sectional area A is equal to I by J. So putting the value of I that we have calculated as 0.5 milliampere and J that is given in the question 50, so we get 10 raised to the power minus 5 centimeter square. Consider that electric field E is limited to 100 volts per centimeter, then the length of the resistor L is given as L is equal to V by E. Putting the value of V and E as 5 by 100, we get the value of length as 5 into 10 raised to the power minus 2 centimeter. So we can calculate conductivity also. Conductivity sigma is equal to L divided by R into A. So putting the value of L that we have calculated, resistance and area, we get the conductivity as 0.5 ohm centimeter inverse. Conductivity of compensated p-type semiconductor is given as sigma is equal to E mu P into P. So putting that value E mu P Na minus Nd. So here the mobility is a function of total ionized impurity concentration, that is sum of acceptor and donor impurity concentration. So using the method of trial and error, if Na is equal to 1.25 into 10 raised to the power 16 per centimeter cube, then Na plus Nd will have this value of 1.75 into 10 raised to the power 16 per centimeter cube. And the whole mobility from the figure mobility versus impurity concentration is approximately 410 centimeter square per volt second. So the conductivity can be calculated as sigma is equal to E mu P Na minus Nd. Putting the value of E mu P and Na Nd, we get the value of conductivity as 0.492. So this is the very close value that we need. So from the calculation we get length as 5 into 10 raised to the power minus 2 centimeter. Area we get as 10 raised to the power minus 5 centimeter square. Na we get as 1.25 into 10 raised to the power 16 per centimeter cube. Velocity saturation. The drift velocity is defined as mu into E. So this graph is showing the variation of carrier drift velocity in centimeter per second with the variation of electric field in volt centimeter. So plot is given for germanium and gallium arsenide for electrons and holes at T is equal to 300 Kelvin. So at low electric field, Vd, that is drift velocity, increases linearly with applied E, that is electric field. Slope is equal to mobility. So at high electric field, the drift velocity saturates to the constant value. Here we can see for all the plots, the carrier drift velocity is initially linearly increasing, then it is getting saturated after a certain value of applied electric field. The next process for carrier transport is the diffusion process. Diffusion process is the movement of charge carrier due to the variation in concentration into the semiconductor. So here we can see on one side there are many carriers and on other side there is no carrier. So there is concentration gradient. So the charge carrier move from high concentration to low concentration, and the diffusion current is defined as minus E dN minus dN by dx. So this 2 minus get cancelled out. So we get E dN by dx as diffusion current density due to electrons. Similarly, for P holes diffusion current we can write as Jp x diffusion is equal to minus E dp by dx, where dp, that is the whole diffusion coefficient. So diffusion coefficient indicates how well carrier move as a result of density gradient. The total current density we can calculate by adding the current density due to drift current and the current densities due to electron and hole diffusion. So two components we have for drift current, that is electron drift and hole drift, and same for the diffusion, we have electron diffusion and hole diffusion. So adding all these four components we get the total current density. So in one dimension if we write, then J is equal to Jn drift is the electron drift current density, Jn diffusion is the electron diffusion current density, then Jp drf is the hole drift current density and hole diffusion current density. Putting the values that we have already calculated for drift and diffusion current, we get this expression for the total current density due to drift and diffusion of charge carriers. So for 3D, we can write it as J is equal to E n mu n into E plus E p mu p into E plus E dn delta n minus E dp into delta p. So mobility that indicates how well carrier move due to the electric field. Diffusion coefficient D, that how well the carrier move due to density gradient. Here we derive the relationship between the mobility and the diffusion coefficient using non-uniformly doped semiconductor model, that is Einstein relationship. So this diagram, that is non-uniformly doped semiconductor, in which one side the carrier current density is very high and on the other side the density is low. So the energy band diagram we can show like this, with the increasing and decreasing current density. There's EF is the Fermi level, EC is the conduction band energy, and EV is the valence band energy. So the doping concentration here on the conduction band, on left side the charge carrier concentration is higher as compared to right hand side. So the doping concentration decreases as X increases, electron diffuses in plus X direction, the flow of electron leaves behind positively charged donor. So induced electric field can be given as this expression minus kT by E 1 upon nd into x d ndx by dx. So naming this as equation number 1. So since there are no electrical connections, so there is no current. So electron current that we have E mu n ndx multiplied by Ex, that is electric field, plus E dn dn dx by dx is equal to 2. This is equation number 2. So using the value of this electric field E from equation number 1 to equation number 2, we get this expression dn upon mu n is equal to kT by E. Whole current must also be 0. So we can write that dp by mu p is equal to kT by E. So these two equations equating, we get dn by mu n is equal to dp by mu p is equal to kT by E. This is called the Einstein relationship. Sheet resistance. Measure of resistivity averaged over the surface. Sheet resistance is a measure of resistance of thin films that are nominally uniform in thickness. The utility of sheet resistance as opposed to resistance or resistivity is that it is directly measured using a 4-point probe measurement, or indirectly by using a non-contact eddy current based testing device. Sheet resistance can be used to compare the electrical properties of device that are significantly different in size. We can define resistance as rho by T L by W, and if we take rho by L as R square, that is the sheet resistance, L by W. So square, that is R square, is the dimensionless units. So the count the number of square, if we have a single square, even then we have R square L by W. If we have added two squares of length L, then in the numerator we have this R square, and for the two slabs connected in the numerator we have 2L, and in the denominator we get 2W. So this 2 gets cancelled out, so we get R square L by W. So this adding of n number of bars will not play any role to change this resistance value. So this sheet resistance is represented as ohm per square, because it is effective for a square, as if we have added two squares also, then the value of L by W will remain same.